Okay, today we're going to talk about the kettlebell clean, and the way we're going to teach today is thinking from the top down. Usually whenever you teach any kind of explosive or ballistic movements like Olympic weightlifting, etc., there's always debate on whether you should teach from the top position down or the bottom position up. There's advantages to both, but for the issues I want to clear up today, I'm going to start from the top position where we want to go and then go down to how we get there. Another thing to talk about is why cleans. When we talk about cleans in any sort of weightlifting or strength conditioning program, clean is just a way of getting something heavy that's normally below your hips to up to above your hips. So with a barbell, sometimes you'll be pulling from the ground, you get it to your hips, you get up to your front rack position. With a sandbag, there's lots of things you can do. You can pick up your sandbag and then try to clean it up to your shoulder. You could clean it up to a Zercher position, but it's using your lower body, your posterior chain, the big muscles in your body to explosively get a heavy object from below your hips up to above your hips in what we usually call a front rack position of some kind. This is in contrast. If you don't know what you're doing and you try to pick up something heavy, it's down here. You're trying to figure out how to get it up here. You'll see a lot of people, maybe they'll kind of lean back or they'll try to do some kind of bicep curl thing, and then they'll kind of end up here and they'll fall backwards because they don't know how to do any sort of ballistic lifting. But once you learn how to clean and you get the concept, you can take the basic ideas of a kettlebell clean, a sandbag clean, a barbell clean, and then you can apply them to all sorts of things in everyday life. So the clean, specifically the kettlebell clean, why the kettlebell clean? It's really a key movement for kettlebell training because the position allows you to hit all these other important movements within kettlebell work. Specifically, what it does is it gets you from this front rack position into this overhead position. So from here you can do all sorts of things. You can do your various lunges, you can work on your presses and your push presses. From your front rack you can work on your lunges as well. You can work on squat variations. All these things that are really hard to do in the middle of a workout if you don't have an efficient clean. So I said we're going to start from the top and work our way down. The first thing we need to think about for the clean is our grip. And once you clean something, you want it to be in what's called your overhead grip or your spear grip. You notice that the kettlebell is running parallel to my thumb right here, with the end of the kettlebell sort of sitting on the heel of my palm. If you look at the back end, you can see the kettlebell is resting on my forearm. You can see that my wrist is straight or even actively cocked, and then you can see my hands are loose. This is important because in our overhead position, this is the position we want. This gives us a few things. It gives us a secure position. I know the kettlebell isn't going to fall. A lot of times people, if they don't know how to grip the kettlebell, they end up in all kinds of positions like this. Number one, it's hard for me to get a full overhead position because it's pressing against a tender part of my wrist. Number two, all this weight is on my thumb. Number three, the kettlebell is right over my head. We don't want any of that. So what we want to do is get into our spear grip position like this, okay? So this is our ultimate goal, whether we're doing presses or whether we're doing waiters carries or any kind of movement. We want to make sure we get into a good overhead position. In order to do that, we have to have a good front rack position. So our front rack position, which is part two of the kettlebell clean, let me shake up my arm a little bit. All right, the front rack position is going to look like this. Switch so I don't get the mic. I want to keep my elbow tucked. Big mistake a lot of people make is they kind of hang out in this position or something like this because they think that their arm and their shoulder should carry the weight. But actually you want the kettlebell as close to your center mass as possible. You want to think of your body as a column and you want to keep everything nice and tucked in so your whole body is holding the weight. You'll often hear people say that your thumb should be able to touch your center line or your collarbone. That keeps everything nice and tight, elbows tucked in. Also see the kettlebell has 3 points of contact, has sort of my shoulder bicep region, has my forearm, and down here it touches again at the top of my elbow. This is what you want for your rack position, okay? This way, if you're doing lunges, it's not gonna fall out in front of you. If you're doing a press, you're gonna have that nice alignment at the top. It's also giving you full range of motion, ensuring you're using all your muscles. If you get used to pressing from this position, look at what kind of range of motion you've lost right there, okay? Realistically, you wanna make sure you have a nice strong press from here all the way up into that top stack position. Notice again that my hands are loose. One of the biggest issues that people have when they're learning how to clean is they have this death grip on the kettlebell, which is going to make, if you try to clean it, it's going to make it come up and whack you like that. So a good front rack position will also teach you it's okay to have loose finger grips. So before you're teaching the kettlebell to a group, you want to make sure everybody knows what the top position looks like, because I guarantee you're going to have some people who are having it hang off the thumb on the front of their wrist. Talk about that there. Ensure that they have a comfortable position up top. They might have to move the kettlebell around, but they should find a position where they can keep a straight wrist with kettlebell on the back of their forearm. In the front rack position, same thing. When you're first showing the front rack position to a group, have them move around, get the kettlebell here, and have them kind of adjust the kettlebell, see where it's sitting, play with their wrist position, tuck it in. For some women, maybe they might want to have it slightly further out. Most men won't have any issues tucking it close to their body. They should find a position here that's comfortable. Obviously you're holding weight, but it shouldn't be uncomfortable or painful. So before you even worry about the rest of the clean, just make sure everybody has a good overhead grip position, which is fed by a good front rack position. So one of the first ways to teach the clean is to ensure everybody has a good front rack position, and then reverse the clean from the top. So however people can get the kettlebell up to their front rack position, we can do something that people will call a safety clean or a cheat clean, where you just use two hands and you just sort of get it up into that front rack position. Just practicing getting this up here is actually quite useful, because it gets people used to absorbing the weight on the kettlebell. Once people have that comfortable front rack position, we're going to work on what's called a front rack cast down. And this teaches you loose arms. It also teaches you how to load up your hamstrings in the swing. Since the way that most people will teach the kettlebell clean is a variation of the Russian swing, it's good to see how your body's going to absorb that energy on the way down. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cast the kettlebell down between my legs, absorb that energy in a hinge as if I were swinging, and then I'm just going to place the kettlebell back down again. So just like this. Now you saw there's that natural swing back when I did that. I wasn't consciously doing that. That was just me loading my hamstrings and my body naturally coming back to neutral after that muscle stretch and putting it back down again. Now obviously I could swing back up to it, but for new clients you can just do that a few times. So have them pick it up, do that safety clean from here, cast down, relax, put it down. Try it one more time. Pick up, safety clean from here, cast down, load the hamstrings, relax. That's going to get people used to loading those hamstrings and getting to think about how the swing will turn in to a clean. Once you do that a few times, you can repeat the movement with the safety clean. You don't have to worry about putting it back down again. You can just practice taking that movement and safety cleaning it back up. So first time, you can even do it actively. Safety clean up here, cast down, safety clean, cast down, safety clean, cast down, safety clean. This is teaching them rhythm and also just getting them a sense of how to sort of tuck their elbow in when they're doing it. It'll help them get a little bit less afraid of the kettlebell coming around, and it's just going to prime them for the movements that we're going to do in the next one. So the next, as we're moving down, is something called a T-Rex swing. Sometimes people will call them low swings, sometimes people call them gunslinger swings. They're all essentially the same movement. And this is a way of taming the arc, which is a big problem in kettlebell swings, or I should say cleans from a kettlebell swing. So if you're used to doing some sort of swing variation where maybe it gets up to about eyeball level, and then you try to clean it, you've got that big looping arc. You don't want it to get all the way out here, so you have to pull it back in to here. That's how you're going to bang your wrist, bang your forearms, bang your shoulders, and that's why people get afraid of the kettlebell. What you want to do is you want to keep the arc as close to your body as possible while using that hinge to generate power. And this is why we use a T-Rex swing. So either imagine that you're a T-Rex with little teeny tiny arms, or imagine somebody has gotten a strap or something and strapped your upper arm to your body so you can only move from here. The swing is exactly like a regular swing, except the whole time I'm keeping this part of my body, or this part of my arm stuck to my body. Another cue you might hear is imagine you're holding a newspaper and you're trying to keep it, or a clutch bag or something, keeping it close to your body. That will stop you from getting this big arc that you have to pull into. So once your clients get used to this motion, you can do different hand positions on this. You're ready to move to the next one, which is alternating T-Rex swing to a safety clean. So get into the rhythm of doing the T-Rex swings, and once you get the hang of it, turn it into a safety clean, back down. You can do a few in a row, or you can alternate swing, clean, swing, clean, swing, clean. Once you've done a few of those, you can actually get people to try starting the full clean. The biggest tip you want to give people, if you've gone through this progression, then the number one cue I think is gonna be fast elbow, or sometimes you might hear people say clap with your elbow. And what you're actually doing is you're really actively bringing that elbow into you. Remember, our final position is this front rack position. So when you're up here, what you want to do is you want to get the elbow as close to your body as you can, as fast as you can. What that's also doing is be moving your hand through the kettlebell to what they call insertion. So you don't want the kettlebell to come up here and move around your body or move around your arm. You really want to get that elbow under, and then you get your hand in the kettlebell. So if I'm going to do a few of those T-Rex swings, and then I'm just going to fast elbow, fast elbow. If you get people doing that, because you've taught in this order, they should be quite used to absorbing the energy now. They shouldn't be so afraid of getting into that final clean position. There is one other option that I quite like, which is the bottoms up clean. And the bottoms up clean is in some ways more technical movement, because you need to have nice stability and alignment, but it takes the fear of the kettlebell slap out of it. So the bottoms up clean is everything we were just doing, except you just end up in this position. So all you're doing is you're swinging into here, and it's teaching you that good elbows tuck position. You're getting the kettlebell up here. Now obviously you don't want it to just hit you like that, but that's essentially what's happening in fast motion. So once you do a few of those, okay, you can practice bringing your elbow in, sort of like an uppercut, and that will stop that big bang from getting you in the forearm. This isn't the only way to teach the clean. I think it's a very good way to teach the clean, and I think if you do it this way, it'll eliminate a lot of bad habits, but obviously any style of teaching you do will probably allow other bad habits to crop up. So in the future, you might want to teach it in a different order if you're noticing certain bad habits crop up in your clients.